because that's a lot of times the very first thing that people will access. When this has now replaced the store site security page, so when you log into the franchisee hub and hover over My Stores, you'll now see Manage My Team. My screen is going to look a little bit different than yours only because all corporate employees have read-only access to Manage My Team. The only people who can make changes to this page are franchisees and the staff that they've given access to be able to see this page. So just keep in mind.
Who would have that in our organization now? Who's the person that does that?
All the managers, all the area managers have.
So all area managers have
access to do that.
To manage my team at the area manager level. Yep. Is that the same for getting their passwords, or when there's confusion that they don't have the password, the area manager controls that?
It's very simple.
So when we have a change in the organization, who changes that? The area manager.
You probably need to find out. It's probably me. As soon as I get an email, I go in there. Just it takes 30 seconds to deactivate them on that. So it's very simple.
They have access to all stores.
Well, I have access to all stores. You'll have access to all stores, but the area store manager will have access just to their My Team. It's like a
based on the alignment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I can.
Just only their stores.
We can change that.
Okay.
And I can show you how to. No,
we
that's
have to
okay.
brainstorm while we're listening to you.
No problem. And I can show you how to change all of that too. So if you want to give more people access to this page or not as many, or if you want to add new stores, that's part of what I wanted to go over today as well.
Okay.
So the Manage My Team page, to your point. Now, once again, the only thing to keep in mind about here is because we're logged in as me, I'm going to have access to every single store. So your site may look a little different than mine. How many stores do you guys have total?
76.
Okay, so your list is going to be relatively large as well. When you first log in, you'll notice you have these filters at the top of the page. It's going to filter, it's going to default to all locations, which means this grid down here is going to display every employee for all of your 70 locations. So obviously that can be a pretty long list. So what we wanted to do is be able to provide just some quick hits for you to be able to find people easier. So the very first thing to do is filter by store location. You'll notice that you can sort these in alphabetical order. Your list will only have your stores. I have access to all, thousands of stores, but yours will have the 76 that you have. So if you give me, what's one of your store numbers?
14077.
If I just want to filter by a store, I'm going to click on this little funnel icon, and I'm going to type in the store ID, and then I'm going to push the filter button. And that's going to pull up the store real quick, and then I can just click on it. And then now I'm going to see everybody who's in 14077 and not the entire list. Now, one of the things that you will notice, for instance, is here's somebody named James, right? Bill Lindstrom. Getting a lot of static. Is there a way to mute? Thank you. Bill this is just their primary store that's listed here. He's showing up under 14077, but that's not his primary store. But my guess is if we go into Bill's details, we'll see that he's attached to 14077, even though that's not his primary store. So that's why on this list you may see some people who don't necessarily, their primary store doesn't belong to that store, but they are involved with that store. They've been marked to be a part of that store. But that's just a quick filter on how we can sort by store. Questions so far?
When does a new employee, how do they get, you have to add them? Every time a new employee starts, the manager or area manager.
Your GM, yes.
Yes, it's going to add them, but the area manager can filter and audit.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the only way somebody has access to a store is if they're attached to a store.
That's correct. So if I look at Bill's details, going to see, like I said, 10856 is his primary store, but if I view his other stores, oh shoot, you're going to see the entire list of.
That's because those are our board members. So let's skip past those and pick someone else.
Yeah, but you can see
those
that.
People will all be listed at every store as their owners of the company.
Yeah, so you can see that so Bill is marked as somebody who needs to have access to 14077, which is why he's showing up on the list. But yeah, you can change. So if you have an area manager that you want to have access to 10 stores, or you have a crew members can only be attached to one store. Store managers and area managers can be attached to multiple stores. The other thing that you can do here is, now to answer your question, anybody that had an account in Tortal got moved over into Manage My Team and to the eLogic version Dairy Queen Learning Link. So if they had some Tortal access, so if you've got crew members who had that, their username and their information was automatically moved over. So you don't have to add those users. They'll be on the list. It would be if you have a brand new crew member, then yeah, you're going to have, somebody's going to have to come in to this Manage My Team page to the appropriate store here. We can see though that on this active field, it defaults to showing you all active employees, but you can also view inactive employees as well. This means at some point in time they were attached, their last store that they were attached to in Tortal was this store. And they may have been marked inactive in Tortal, so they were moved over into Manage My Team as inactive. It could just be old employees, it could be seasonal employees. At some point in time though, their last store was this store, but they were marked inactive. You could come in here and reactivate them. We do not delete records, user records, because if we delete user records, their training gets deleted as well. And we want to make sure that the training stays with the employee. So if in 2 years from now the employee comes back, you can reactivate them and all their training then comes back into play, so they don't have to retake something that they've already taken. Now you can choose to have them retake something if you want to, but at the end of the day, and this comes into, this really comes into play for manager certification. So if you have a manager who got certified a couple years ago, they leave for a couple years and come back, when they get reactivated, their certification then is active again as well. So that's why we don't delete anybody. But we can hide them just by showing the active employees if you don't want to see your inactive employees.
So if you had somebody showing on this list and they actually are at a different store, how do you change that? If you can find David Wagner, how'd you change it? He was still on this list a second ago as active.
Active at Farmers Ranch.
Yeah, he was just on that list a minute ago showing active and.
Yep. So I can go into David, and I'm not going to be able to make changes, nor do I want to because we're in production right now, but I can show you how it's done. So right now he's in store 13935. I can go in, you're going to see a button that's going to say edit. I see it says view only because I can't make changes. But then I could go in and I could say, you know what, I want him to be with this store instead, or this store. And then I'm going to choose whatever store is his primary. If you've got a manager, the reason you'd want them in multiple stores is because if they're an area manager and you want them to be able to run a report in Dairy Queen Learning Link for like these 4 stores, then you're going to mark them as being a part of those 4 stores. And that's just a way for them to see all of the people in those stores. So I would just come in here and click whatever I wanted to, and then push the accept button, and then push the accept button again, and it would change David to the new store.
What was the approval column?
So the approval column is, the Dairy Queen Learning Link has great notifications that it can send. So when somebody is ready for a skills assessment to be completed, or if somebody is registered for a learning course or has completed a learning course, it sends out notification to the approver or the owner of that particular store. So if you want David to be the approver, you want him to receive all of the notifications for store 1001, I would mark him as the approver. One of the things you have to be aware of is that David could be an approver for multiple stores, which means he would get the notifications for multiple stores. but this store can only have one approver. So if I mark David as the approver, let's say I was in there yesterday and I was the approver, and then today you go in and say, no, I want David to be the approver instead. That overrides me, the approver. You've now changed that to David. So David will receive those notifications going forward.
Give me an example of the notifications.
So let's say you have a crew member who registers for the food safety master course, and that's something that they have to complete at the beginning. So there's a notification that goes out that just says, hey, this crew member has registered for food safety. It's just an FYI to keep track of what your employees are registering for and what they're doing. Inside that food safety master course, there's a skill that needs to be done. So once they've gone through their training, the crew member has to say, I've completed my training, I'm ready for somebody to come assess me on my hands-on learning, my hands-on skills. There's a notification that gets sent to the approver that says, hey, Chris Shanks has completed food safety and now is ready for you to come observe her. That notification goes to the approver as well. The third notification that goes out is somebody completes. So if I get done with food safety and I'm completely done, I get a notification that says, hey, congratulations, you've completed it, and the approver is just copied on that email, once again as an FYI to be able to say, to be able to keep track. So if you've assigned me food safety and in a week you don't get any sort of notification that I've completed it, then you know I'm not done yet, or you can go in and check on me to make sure that I'm on track.
Okay. I'm trying to picture this in a new store setting when you have 100 employees and that person that's sitting there keeping track of all this. I guess that would be more of an exception, just like a new store is actually. I'm just thinking about the daily ongoing maintenance and how many times a day maybe that the person with approval authority would get an email in reference to their, it'd probably be minimal unless you really had a pumped up group of people that were really trying to do it all at one time.
In the beginning, I could see it being overwhelming, but in the end, you know, we average about 70 employees a week, so we average hiring one employee a week, so you would get the notifications that they're done.
Okay.
And so I thought they assigned, because you said something about if we assign them something, you mean if we ask them to go in there and assign it to themselves, right?
Correct.
They have to assign themselves to whatever we ask them to do, right?
Yeah, they register themselves, and I'll walk you through that process. We'll go through that when we get in the Dairy Queen Learning link, but yes, they register themselves. And so because they can register themselves, that's why we CC the approver on that email, is to let the approver know that somebody is registering. So let's say you told me to register for the chill course and I go in and register for grill. You're going to get a notification that says Chris Shanks is registered for grill, and you can go, whoa, you're not supposed to do that yet. I want you to do chill first. So it's just a way to kind of keep track of who's doing what since you don't register it for them.
Okay.
Hey Chris, this is Joe. I know we talked about this last week when we talked. Can you explain if let's say that when all of our stores have should not have any of the Brazier Grill training lessons in there on that. So if they do, you said just go ahead and send you an email. That way we can change the profile. Is that pretty much what we need to do if that happens?
Yeah, the learning link. So the learning link is based. We pass attributes over from Manage My Team into the learning link. So keep in mind, Manage My Team is actually a part of the hub, not a part of the Dairy Queen Learning link. But the Dairy Queen Learning link uses this page to know who everybody is and what they should have access to. So it looks at job role. It needs to know what the job role is. Different materials are available depending upon the job role. So if they're a crew member, they see crew level courses. If they're a shift lead, they see the shift lead development courses. If they're a manager, they'll see the manager courses and the manager certification process. The stores then is also based on whatever the primary store is. That helps the Dairy Queen Learning Link know what materials to give it to. So if this store right here is an OJ only store, for example, then this person, when David logs in, they would see OJ only materials. If the store is a grill and chill or a brazier, when they log in, they would see the chill, the grill, they would see basically all of the things. So depending upon what a store you assign them to as their primary store, that dictates the materials that they're going to see inside the Learning Link. So to your point, Joe, if it's not correct, if I log in and I've got this person assigned to a grill and chill location, but when they log in they don't see grill, that's what I need to know, just so I can check and make sure the assignments are correct and make sure that it's looking at the right information inside Manage My Team.
Do you have a course list by role?
That's a great question. I don't, but I can certainly create one.
That way, because we don't know what they have. I mean, I guess you can log in for each role, but
you know what? I'm a step ahead of you. I actually do have that. Hold on a second. I put it somewhere in here. Find it. 29. Let's see the page 29.
That's what's in the file. It's in this, embedded into this.
So this is for the Manage My Team C, hopefully. It doesn't have an exact list, but what it tells they get the crew level training material. So that would be like the crew food safety master course orientation. Shift lead will see the crew level training materials plus the shift lead development materials. You'll see manager, if you assign them to the store manager, they see manager level, the trainer kits and the trainer materials, and then they see the phase 1, phase 2 test out materials. So this is in that user guide, but if you need something more detailed, I can certainly provide that.
Yeah, because as a GM, how would you know that they took all their crew level courses if you don't know what they are? You get a notification they took these 3 courses, but how do we know there's not 4 other courses out there they should have taken?
Yeah, you know, and I think what that would do is I'd have to do it by role and by menu or by concept, because a lot of that is going to be based on the concept. So let me look into that, and I think I can provide something for you. I'm just writing myself a note. Okay.
Okay, Chris, one more question on that Manage My Team. Every time you go and you make a change, you have to go in there and change the password?
Well, so with the very first time, so you know there's the validate my account process, right, the dqvma.com. If people go in there and they have to validate their username and password, it's helping us make sure people only have one account. It's helping us kind of update our security standards. If you happen to go into Manage My Team before they've validated their account, it's going to ask you for a password reset, because it's, once again, it's trying to force those updated security standards. If you go and make changes to them after they validated their account, then it won't require that. We are actually working on, and I think this is getting released this week, we are working on a person right now, which people have commented about, and I understand that it's not super recently, is if you have somebody that you're trying to deactivate, it pulls a password change, but we're working on a process so you can go in here, I can deactivate him. Like David hasn't validated his account, I'm just going to deactivate them, and it's not going to require a password change.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen me guys use this button a couple times, but this is a really handy button to have. If whatever filters you have up here, if you want to start at the beginning, you just click this reset button, and it will wipe out all of these filters. So that way you can just basically start all over. You don't have to go through and delete them all. Going back up to the search thing I wanted to show you, you can also search by your job role. One of the things we like to tell people is keep in mind job role doesn't necessarily equate to title. It's just really a way for you to separate what level of access you want them to have to both Manage My Team and Dairy Queen Learning Link. So if you, for example, if somebody is in training to be a store manager, you're going to want to go ahead and mark their job role as store manager in Manage My Team so that they have store manager materials in the Dairy Queen Learning Link. That's not necessarily mean you've already given them a promotion. It just means you want them to have store manager materials. But you can very easily, if you want to see all your area managers, you can pretty easily then filter by a job role. So if you just want to pull out all of your managers, all your crew members, just helps you filter the list a little bit easier. Did somebody have a question?
No, not now.
Okay. The other thing, the user search is handy too. This is the one I use the most, especially if I'm looking for one specific person. The user search will search first name, last name, and username. So to your point, if I just want to type in David, I should get a list where everybody is, David is in part of their first name or their last name, or it's a part of their username. So this is how we found David Wegner. I could just type in Wegner and search for him. So you really, probably the two things you might use the most are the location where you're going to search by a particular store. So let's say you want to see all of the users or all of the store managers in one store, then you would use that. Or if you want to search for a specific user, you would use that. I'm not sure why it's not. There we go. Keep in mind, because I have access to 1,000 locations, mine just takes a little bit to think through everything sometimes. But hopefully with 70 some stores, yours will be a little bit quicker. So these fields at the top are just a way to help find people. So if you're looking for somebody specific, you want to make sure they're active. You want to make sure this is where you would go in to say, oh, well, I want to make David an area manager instead of store manager. Or if you want it, to my point earlier, you want to try to change their access to Learning Link to give them manager materials instead of instead of crew materials, then you would come in here and make all the changes here. And I don't know how much you know about the old system with Tortle, but in Tortle we did all this inside Tortle itself, and then what we ended up having to do is pass information between Tortle and Little Red House. Little Red House would move information into Tortle, and then people could add stuff in Tortle, so Tortle had to, keep track of that and then move information back to Little Red House. And it was that two-way communication that information would get dropped, information would get lost. It didn't move over to one part correctly, or it didn't move back over correctly, and so it was a challenge to try to maintain user records in both systems and have them match each other. So with Manage My Team, we are doing everything here, and this then pushes information to Little Red House and pushes information to Dairy Queen Learning Link. So there's one true source of information, and we don't have that problem with people losing their information and losing their store assignment, losing their username, which is what happened a lot with Tortle. So just a little bit of background about why we're doing this all in Manage My Team in the hub versus doing it inside the Learning Link. You can view this information in the Learning Link, but anytime you want to change anything about the Learning Link, you want to give them a store manager access, you want to change their store so they're getting different materials, it has to be done in Manage My Team.
And how long does it take? You said it takes 30 minutes once a change is made for like a password? It takes about 30 minutes?
Yeah, we've been saying up to 30 minutes. There's a series of process that it has to do to move information over to the correct places. So it could, depending upon when it gets in the queue, so if it gets in the queue and then the queue kind of immediately runs, it could be 5 or 10 minutes. But we're saying up to 30 minutes because if it might have to sit in the queue for 5 or 10 minutes before the next time the process runs. So at the maximum, it's 30 minutes.
And so to change the details, like if you're going to change the store row, you just go to details to change it?
Yep. So anytime you want to change any details, you go here. Now the one thing I will say is, you notice this thing at the top, previously the active, the job role, and the level fields, when we get through this validation process, these will all be editable on this grid. So if I want to go in and give David and make him an area manager instead of a store manager, I can really do it by one click here. When this is active, this saves on edit. So if I click this inactive button, that change automatically gets saved and automatically gets pushed to the Dairy Queen Learning Link. Or if I update his status or his job role. The details page, I have to, when I make changes here, I have to actually push the accept button. Right now, during the validation process, these are deactivated or they're temporarily disabled, but they will eventually be enabled again. So for now, yes, you have to click on the details button to edit any information for any of the users.
And so he's not showing that he's validated yet.
He should be validated. I know he's out. I know he's logged in. There's really no. There's. He should be validated.
Logging into the old site, so that's what some of the they can't go through the. They have to go through the hub, so that's something we have to we'll send a message out on next week.
Yeah, and I would recommend that so we are going to move data from Total into eLogin, but only if somebody has completed a course. If they are halfway through Chill, I would really recommend that they go into Total and complete Chill. Then they would validate their account, and then they would start using the new learning link. I highly recommend that they don't validate their account until they've completed everything they need to complete in Total, because once they validate their account, they're most likely going to get a new username and or password, and that will not work in Total. So make sure they complete everything in Total first, and then validate their account, and then start using the new learning link.
I guess I'm confused. They can log on to either one? They log on to Total for the classes?
Well, right now, both are running because we didn't want to shut off Total instantaneously. We wanted to give people a chance to go into Total and finish up what they were working on to complete everything that they have. So if they've not validated their account, they still have access to Total, and they can still log in and they can still finish what they're in the middle of. Once they validate their account.
Can we not set, or should we not set a goal and just, Joe, say by, a week from Friday, anything that you need to have finished in the Total, you need to have it finished so that we can switch over and shut it out? What would be the bad, is there a risk in doing that if we give them a certain time frame and then switch the whole system over and don't have access to the Total anymore?
Well, there's not a way for us to force that until they validate their account, but I will tell you that's coming up quickly anyway. We're shutting off Total at the beginning of November. Sometime at the beginning. We don't have a specific date yet. So they already have a deadline that once we shut off Total, they will not be able to access it anymore. We're running them concurrently for a short time so that people can log in and finish what they need to finish.
So if they haven't, let's say they have no classes that are in progress on the old Total, there's no problem with them logging on to the new one because there's really no classes that aren't completed. Is that
That's
correct? Okay.
Yep.
So
have them validate. Have them first go to DQVMA.com, validate their accounts, and then they'll log in. Now keep in mind, everybody going forward is going to log into DairyQueen.net. We know that as the hub. DairyQueen.net and the hub are the same thing, but some crew members aren't necessarily going to know that that's what we call the hub. But crew members and everybody will log into DairyQueen.net, and then they'll click the button to link into the learning.
And the only thing you say happens if they validate their account is they lose the credit for the partial courses.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't lose credit for anything they've already done.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Just the part, whatever they're in process of completing.
Correct. Yeah, so like I said, we're recommending that they go into Total and finish stuff because we don't want them to have to start all over. If they're halfway through Chill and they validate their account and start using the new learning link, they're going to have to start Chill over from scratch. They're going to have to start all the way from the beginning. So if they can go into Total and finish up what they're doing, get done with the entire course, then they don't have to do that.
Okay.
So let me just go over a couple of the things on here that are kind of important. So one, the username. Once the username has been validated, it cannot be edited. So because the training records are saved to the username, the user itself can change stores, you can change job role, the user can move around, but the user can never be edited because those training records are attached to that username. Which is good because, once again, if you inactivate somebody and then they come back 2 years from now, they'll still be here, they'll still have the same username, you reactivate them and all their training records will come back. But just FYI that the username is static once it's been validated. And you can't...
Because and this happened 3 or 4 times already, where somebody can't log in into the DQ.net, and then I go here, and I see that their username is different than the username they gave me, so I could validate that. Is that something that, where does their username come from?
So, yeah, that's a great question. When we moved everybody over from Tortle, because of our updated security standards, we had to update people's usernames, which is what that validate my account process walks them through. But we had people with usernames of Mike or Chris or, just very generic, non-secure usernames. So what we did is when we put them in Manage My Team, we put them in with a suggested, more secure username. When they go through the Validate My Account process, they have an option of either accepting that username, or at that time they can change it, but they have to change it to something that meets our security standards. So my guess is their Tortle username wasn't secure, and so we've now updated it. Once they go through that Validate My Account process, they can keep that suggestion or they can change it at that time. Once they validate it, then that username cannot change.
And the second part of the question, is there an easy way to go through, I guess there is, because a lot of the usernames that people don't know what their new username is. So I guess you can just go through Manage My Team and pull up Store and be able to have their usernames, send that to the store manager so they can have all people's new usernames on there. Is that an easy way to do that? Rather than going through...
That's a good question. There's no way to export this list. That's a really good question. That's definitely something I can see if there's a way to add that as a future release, but there's not a way to do that. The best way would to give somebody in the store full access to the site and let them log in to Manage My Team and pull out the information for their own team. So if you give people, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about, so job role, anybody with a store manager role, you have the option of giving them access to Manage My Team. Now, the level is what controls that. The level doesn't really control anything to do with the learning link, but really controls what access you want to have them to the hub. Right now, there are 3 levels. There's something called base, there's limited or LTD, and there's full. Base means if they're store manager in their base, they have read-only access to a very small amount of the hub. They don't have access to Manage My Team. They can't edit anything. They have read-only access. My understanding about limited is there's a few pages that they have access to, but not a lot. Full access is where they have access to the Manage My Team page, but keep in mind it also means they have access to financials. We are in the process of actually creating a 4th level between limited and full, and it will be limited plus MMT. So it will basically mean that they can have limited access to the hub, but they have access to Manage My Team, but because they're not a full level, they don't have access to financials. We got feedback that limited and full, that they didn't always like to give their store managers full access. They wanted to have Manage My Team, but they didn't want them to have access to financials. So that we anticipate being released in the next couple of weeks, where you can mark a store manager as limited plus MMT, and they can then see all the information in the Manage My Team. They can add new users to their system. They can do all of that without necessarily having to have full access to the hub and full access to financials.
Okay, that sounds cool.
What foundations are on top?
You can go under my P&Ls. I mean, you have to know it's there. If you look under, it says there's information under on that.
Everything we report to them?
Pretty much. So.
Which there's no reason why.
We'll so 99% of people don't even know about it. 99% of people don't know about it. So on that, so yeah. But we're just discussing what's on the financials.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's temporary. Like I said, in the next couple of weeks, that'll be fixed. So if you want to give somebody access to Manage My Team without financial, that option will be available. We're hoping early November.
First, financials, they should see them, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, might not be the same.
I would say, because remember that level controls the hub, not the Dairy Queen Learning Link. A lot of this information, when you change this information, it moves over to the Learning Link within 30 minutes. The exception is level. Because that's not used by Learning Link and it's only used by the hub, if you promote somebody to a store manager and give them full access, there's a hub process that runs nightly. So that means that they would not get full access to the hub until the next day.
Okay.
And so if you gave them full access so they could add new employees, then they won't be able to do it until the next day.
Correct. Because even the Dairy Queen Learning Link process runs every 30 minutes or so. The hub process runs every night. So this level field only controls the hub. So that's why that's the one exception to that's a next day process. And actually, I'm going to tell you, it starts running, the processes start running around 5 p.m. And I've been told they take, because there's several processes that have to run, it takes most of the night. So if you want to promote somebody and give them full access to the hub, I would do it before 5 p.m. so that the next morning they log in, they'll have full access. The other thing that's important, we already went through this, but that's definitely, that would be how you would change somebody's primary location. You could add a manager to multiple stores. So like I said, this controls who they can see in the Learning Link. So if you want them to build a report for a bunch of different people, maybe you have a store manager that you want to have 2 or 3 access. You have area managers that you want to have 10 access. And then you've got your corporate people that you basically want access to all 77 stores. That would be where you would choose them in the store thing. And then we went through the approval one. Those are the people who will get the notification. The other kind of important thing on this is the language. The language is when you log into the Learning Link, it defaults to whatever language is chosen. So there are materials available in Spanish and French Canadian. If this is, if somebody chooses Spanish, let's say, then when they log in, if there are Spanish materials available, they'll get the Spanish version. So there are Spanish chill versions available. So when I log in, if I change my language to Spanish, when I log in, I would see the Spanish versions, not the English versions. So just a way to keep.
That's good.
Birth month and birth date, those are used just to help kind of find people. If you have 2 Chris Shankses in the system, you know, you can use the birth month and birth day to help distinguish between the 2. Email address is not required. It's highly recommended because the Learning Link sends out notifications. It's recommended that you have an email address, although those notifications are also saved inside the Learning Link. But it's sometimes nice to get the email address somewhere else, especially if you have like managers who have them on their mobile devices. The exception to this not being required is if you make somebody the approver, because there are a lot of notifications that go out, that is the one circumstance where email address will be required. Mobile phone also, oh, go ahead.
So when we put a brand new crew person in, area manager, a shift lead, we go to this screen, and
yep.
Once we put everything in there, I mean, it doesn't take, it's pretty simple. I like this really simple to drop down screen. So in the past, once we got done, once we put in their username and their password, it sent them an email to the new person's email address, their information to the email address. So now that doesn't happen. So what we need to do is we need to tell the GMs to write down the username and password and send it, give it to them by hand.
Yeah, that is correct. It doesn't happen right now. I believe that that's a feature that they're going to add when they do the Hub 2017 release. So for temporarily, yes, they'll just have to write down the username and password and provide that to the crew or whoever the new employee is.
And it auto-generates the username once they fill everything in?
It doesn't auto-generate it, but it will definitely require you to have some. So if you try to put in Chris into this username, it's not going to accept it because it doesn't meet security standards. My understanding is that it has to start with at least 4 alpha characters followed by at least 1 numeric character. So I could be Chris 1, but I can't just be Chris. So if you just typed in Chris, it's going to say that's username's not valid. It's also going to check to make sure that that username hasn't been used anywhere else. So if I type in Chris 1 and somebody else already used that, it's going to say, sorry, that username's already been taken. So it just kind of helps to do that. The same thing with the password. The password, has to be 8 characters long. It has to be something else. So there's certain things that it will give you some instruction about what the password should be.
And it'll tell you if you do it wrong, oh, you need to have 4 alpha and 1 number, or...
Yep. Yep. The other thing I will tell you, too, is you notice when I opened up, and this works regardless of whether you're read-only or not, but I open up this username, you notice there's nothing in the password field. That's purposeful. There's a password there. We just don't display it. We never display passwords. So if somebody forgets their password, right now, the only way is to have the manager has to come in here and reset it for them. Now, once again, when HUB 2017 rolls out, we're going to have a forgot password function for the crew members, but until that's released, the manager has to reset it for them. There's no way to retrieve.
And then accept, and it's a new password.
Yeah, there's no way to retrieve somebody's password, and once again, for security standards, we don't save those anywhere where somebody can pull them out.
Chris, another question. If I have an area manager and they already have access to the hub, are they going to have a different password to get into the learning link, or do they use their existing password to get into the hub?
They will use the same username and password to log into the hub and the learning link. And in fact, it's only one login. It's dairyqueen.net. And they will click on the link. We'll show you. If you go to the home, there's 2 different.
Yeah, I think about it.
Yeah, there's 2 different places. So once they log in with their username and password, so they're only going to have 1, which is a good update from Tortle, because Tortle they could have had 2. So they're only going to have 1 username and password now. It should be whatever username and password they validated. There's a link right here that will take them there. There's also on the employees training page. There's a link that will take them there. So they'll just click on the link that takes them to there.
That's okay. Okay. We're just, some discussion came up about that, so we just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yep. When crew members log in, this is basically their landing page. They don't see the hub menu. They don't see some of this other stuff down here. They basically see some of these buttons. They don't see the Manage My Team button. They'll see this link. They'll see this icon. They'll see this contact support. They see these resources, and everything else is pretty static. So the only thing that crew and Shiftly can do is once they get to this page, they can basically only click on the Dairy Queen Learning Link icon, and they can't do anything else. So when I click on that, that's going to SSO me, single sign on me into the learning link. So it's going to sign on as me, and I'll take you through it in a second, but that's just a one-click process to be able to get in. So that's why everybody from crew to you all are going to go to dairyqueen.net to log in, and depending upon what it recognizes you as, depending upon your job role it's set, your level, the management page is going to recognize what access to the hub you need and what access to the Dairy Queen Learning Link you need.
Can we still use the food safety certificate? We still allow that on this learning link?
For like the ServSafe?
Yes.
You can upload them into the learning link, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll look at that and make sure.
Yep. Yeah, so if you never need to add anybody, you just, I can't click on it because I have view only access, but you could just click this add button, and it's basically an empty, this will show up just empty, so you just have to fill that out, push the accept button, and then within 30 minutes that user will be able to log into the learning link. So before I go into the learning link, are there any questions about Manage My Team?
I think we're good.
Okay, so I'm going to go then just into the learning link. I'm right now a test franchisee because I wanted to be able to show you what this is what a store manager or above would see. So store managers, area managers, franchisees. I have the ability to change what this looks like and how the system acts depending upon the job role. So cake decorators, shift lead, and crew members are basically all in one bucket, and then everybody else is in a separate bucket. So there are different things and different materials based on that. So right now I'm logged in as franchisee, so the menu items will change a little bit more. Right now they're exactly the same. I would say 95% of the site is the same anyway, but right now these are the same, but I can do different announcements based on the different, whatever role you're in. So your announcement may be a little bit different than what a crew member would see, but know that it's basically the same. So this is how, have you guys had a chance to play in this much yet?
A little bit.
So the home page is really, is always going to be your landing page right now. These are the 3 tabs below I would pay attention to. The My Registrations tab is just anything that you have been registered for. So if you want to take any materials, if you want to take any training, this is going to show what you've been registered for. The My Notifications tab, this is where you can see, okay, so I've completed food safety, there's a hands-on skills assessment that needs my approval. There's certain things because I'm logged in as test user 007 is a franchisee that has like 3 or 4 different crew members that go with them. So I've got a couple crew members that had some skills assessment that need to be approved. So to your question about what notifications go out, they actually go out in 2 different places. They'll get sent via email, but then they also get sent into this My Notifications tab. So I can click on this and see the information. It's basically the same information that's in the email, but just in case somebody accidentally enters their email incorrect, or, and that'd be the big thing, somebody answered their email incorrectly and it got sent back, at least it shows up in their Notifications tab.
The other level of that, who gets all those notifications besides the store manager? Does that go to?
Just whoever you have marked as the approver.
Just the approver. So you'll never something.
So, and how do they approve a skill assessment? How would they go in there and say the skill assessment's done?
So when they have this, they'll get, well, it's funny because
click here and then they click here and approve?
Yeah. There's a link down at the bottom that basically says, oh wait, this is the wrong one. These are all has-been. I don't have any requests right now to. So they'll on the email it'll say click here to approve the skills assessment, and then they click in there and it opens it up. I wish I could show it to you, but it opens it up, and then you have to answer a series of questions, and then you push submit. There's a whole, if you actually go to the support page, this is really good information about anything you need to know, but there's this button called Learning Link Support Resources, and this is where all the QRGs are, the quick reference guides. So there's a skills assessment approval process that walks you through how to do it. So here's what they have to do, here's what it is, and then kind of walks you through the different questions that need to be answered and what you have to do for it. So I would recommend starting with the support page and looking through here. The other tab on here is the featured tab. This is a way for us to be able to put some attention to new videos or new lessons or new information that's out. So I know one of the things we want to put out here is like there's that hand washing agreement. So we could put that out there. The pretzel video and the pizza skins video is pretty timely just because those were just released. So anything for us that's just kind of new information we'll put out on the featured tab. And this will be the same way if you don't have access, if your store doesn't have access to DQ Bakes, these won't be available. So, so hopefully it's not confusing. If you've got an OJ only location, they're not going to see materials that don't apply to them. they may see, it may say, if I only put out these, if I only got these two out here and I log in as an OJ only store, the featured tab may say no materials available, and that's just because nothing we have featured meets the criteria for them. Make sense so far?
Yes.
And the browse training page is probably the page that's used most often just to find materials. Once again, this will change based upon what store you have. This update up here, I just kind of put announcements on there. We had a little bit of an issue with the phase 1 and phase 2 materials. We had to take materials offline for a day or two. And so this is just a way for me to say, hey, by the way, these aren't available. Here, da-da-da-da. If you actually log in as, if I log in as a crew member, that message has changed. Because if you, I'm not sure if you remember this, but when a crew or a shift lead logs in, we didn't want to overwhelm them with the massive amount of materials that are available. So this is a crew member who's been through a couple things before, but I could probably, let me see if I can. When I'm a new crew member and I log in, basically the first thing I'm going to see is orientation. My browse training page is significantly reduced. I have to go in through orientation first. Oh, yeah. So I would have to go through, and this walks them through how to do that. Okay, first you have to complete the crew orientation master course. So that's what I would have access to because now I'm logged in as a crew member. When I complete that, then the next time I log in, I'm going to have access to more stuff. And this time you'll see I have access to food safety. So then it says now you've got to complete this crew food safety master course. If I complete crew food safety master course, that's when the other materials will open up for them. So we've tried to restrict it so that it's not overwhelming for a new crew and new shift leads when they log in. They don't know what to do. And this helps combat the inability for you to go in and register them for them because they have to register themselves. We didn't want them to have the massive amount of information out there and not know what to register for. So it really restricts it. So the first time they log in, basically the only thing they can register for is orientation. And then when they log in, again, the next thing they register for is that food safety master course.
So if I'm a brand new crew person and today's my first day and I open this up, all I'm going to have on there will be the orientation.
You would, yeah, you have orientation and actually have the learning link once too, because we wanted to make sure if anybody's got any questions about how to use the site, they would have those materials available. But yes, the only thing you would see on this browse training page, this would not be there, this would not be there, this would not be there. The only thing you'd see is the learning link and the orientation link. This is what it looks. Go ahead.
So once I'm done with the orientation, I log out, then whatever I need to then log back in, and then the food safety will pop up.
Yep, this is what it looks like after the after orientation is complete. You'll notice there's no chill, there's no grill, there's no product areas, there's nothing else. Now, I know it says P1 and P2. It's really the same materials. We didn't want to limit this if some crew member or shift leads has. This is where you would upload your ServSafe. So if they have a ServSafe certificate or some third-party food safety certificate, we wanted to be able to provide them the means to upload it if they have it, but it's not, you'll notice it says not required for crew members, so they don't necessarily have to do that. It's just available if they have it. But the one that is required is this food safety master course. And you'll see it says this is required to be completed before other materials on the site are available. These other two, they're just kind of quick hit food safety, critical violations and micro-learnings, just if anybody needs a refresher about food safety. You'll notice there's a note that says these do not need to be required. I'm sorry, these do not need to be completed before other materials are available, but there's some good information in there as well. Food safety is pretty, really important, especially for new crews, so we wanted to make sure they had all the materials available. So then,
we have that food safety manager certification on there. Are we allowing, are you guys allowing them for the manager to put their own food safety certification in there?
Yep, so the manager will put all their information in there and upload it, and then for those then will go to, and they need to get approved. So at the manager level, the approval is the business consultant. So if I upload my certificates here, the first thing I'm going to do, it's going to ask me, so it's going to ask me some information. You know, I can put in what certificate I have. I put the end date, the expiration date, the certificate number. I have to actually upload a copy of the certificate itself, and it can be a PDF or a JPEG. And then it gets sent to the business consultant. The business consultant then will look at the certificate and make sure that all the information on the site is correct. And they have the option of either saying, yes, it's right, I approve it, or no, something's not right, like your expiration date is wrong, can you fix this? They can send it back to me to have me correct it. So it does need an approver, but the person themselves is allowed to upload their own certificate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's what it looks like from, this is a pretty early crew. Like I said, they've finished orientation but not food safety. So if I log back out as that other, I'm going to log back in as another crew member who has completed more. This is a person who has completed food safety. And you'll notice, then I go to browse training, and you'll notice I have, this is a crew member who's completed food safety, who's in a grill and chill location. So you'll notice I have bakes, I have grill, I have orientation, I have Orange Julius. I have everything that's available to me based on my location itself. But if I log in, as a franchisee, and see this note up here, you actually can't bookmark this page and log in this way. I am because of the test users, but it actually fails. If you try to put your username and password into that area right there, it actually gives you a big ugly yellow triangle and tells you that there's an error. You actually do have to log into dairyqueen.net. You can't log into the learning link directly. So then if I'm logged in as a franchisee, now I see different materials. So instead of seeing the crew level materials, I see the manager level materials. And for the most part, they're the same. So if you want to see information, there's something, these are called learning courses. So anything that's red is a learning course, and that is a bundle of material. So you'll notice this is the Manager Till Master Course. So if I click on more details, I can see all of the information that's included in there. But one of the good things about this site is we tried to use these icons to let you know what this was. So this is a lesson, this is a document. You can see some of the icons. This is a video. So the icons will change based on what it is. We're also trying to, let me get one. We're also trying to add seat time. So, and we're kind of doing them as we can. You know, it's taking us a while to go through every one of them and add them. But in some places you'll see that this is an e-learning lesson that's 30 minutes long. And that way there's some indication of how long it's going to take. So if somebody's trying to sit down and watch a video, they know how long they have. And that helps for you guys too, so you can kind of plan out your training materials. So this would be anything that you want to register yourself in. So if as a franchisee, as a trainer, you could go in and you could register. So if you wanted to register for any training materials, you'll see that, you know, there's some trainer materials. There's the master course that has all information. You would just click register as well. And then you then are registered in those courses. So if ever you need information, here's all your trainer materials that you could use to help your crew members or shift leads walk through that. So if you notice, when I logged in as a crew member, I didn't have access to any of those trainer materials. I didn't see it. But as a manager or above, you would see that. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So the transcript on the menu page is really your transcript. This is anything that you've completed. So I won't spend a ton of time on this, but just know that this is anything that you've done. There is a way to view user transcripts, which I'm going to walk you through in a couple minutes. The training calendar, we left it on there, but somebody have a question?
No.
Okay, sorry. The training calendar, we left it on there, but we don't have information out there yet. But this is where we would put, like the People, Pride, and Profit class. We might put some phase 1 in restaurant classes or phase 2 in restaurant classes. We don't have it in there yet, but we did want to go ahead and leave it on there just because it will eventually make it. We haven't gotten that far yet. The support page, like I said, this is just a wealth of information if you need it. There's the Learning Link support resources that you can open. Here's the user guide for Manage My Team. I'm in the process of making a user guide for the Dairy Queen Learning Link, so that will be there shortly. We also have the resource material index. This is available for shift leads and store managers and above, but so that you don't have to enroll in every tiny little thing. Let's say you need a real quick, the trainer material for the DQ sandwich trainer materials, and you just need a real quick access to that. There's just a real quick link on that support page, so you don't have to register for it and then open it up again. It's just on this page itself. So any of the worksheets and materials that you need are all here, including, so the orientation in the trainer kit, if you ever have any information about that, any information about, like I said, any of the product areas.
Texas Country Foods manual information, is that updated in here?
Not out here, so. There's no link to Texas Country Foods manual in there, is there? Or would that be possible?
There's not, but we certainly can add it. But I will say I can add it here, but in this particular part, I can't control that by menu type, so everybody would see it. Meaning if I'm a store manager and I'm not in a Texas Country Foods store, I would still be able to pull up the Texas Country Food thing. What I can do is if you send it to me, I can put it in here, and I could put it in one of these, and you would register for it. And if you have to register for it, then I can limit who sees it based on menu type.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, but absolutely I can do that. It doesn't do it here because it's a quick link. It doesn't recognize the menu attributes or the concept.
Helpful if it's in there that way. Sometimes they do have it available in all the stores, but sometimes just have it there for reference, like you just said on there. So.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Happy to add that. There's the user agreement and privacy statement. I forgot to cover this. The very first time that they link into the Dairy Queen Learning Link, they're going to get this user agreement and privacy statement. Everybody gets it, and they actually do have to accept it before they have access to the site. If they don't have access to the site, or if they don't accept this, they don't get access to the site. But there's a copy of it on the support page just in case anybody wants to look at it again after they've accepted it. There's the manager certification materials. So, the P1 skills assessment Excel file and the P2, any information you have. We've kind of put some more information about kind of how it works in the new system. So there's a lot of information just about, there's links to the practice exam if you want to register for that. So anything about the certification process can be found in that manager certification materials. There's the FAQ documents. So there's Manage My Team FAQs. These are here, but they're also on Manage My Team. There's the Validate My Account FAQs. We're working on the DQ Learning Link FAQs. And then there's the Contact Us button. This will take you, you won't have to put your username and password in twice. I'm just not logged in right now. Oops, doesn't like me. So this just takes you to a form to fill out, if you've got any questions, and then it automatically gets sent to the Dairy Queen Learning Link support email address. But I do encourage people to fill out this form. The more the information they put on the form, the better off it helps me troubleshoot. It's myself and Pam and Kim who check this. And so, there are times we just get an email that says, hey, it doesn't work. And then it takes them back and forth to figure out what's going on. So by kind of making them go through this form process, it helps us get a little bit more information. So that's what that Contact Us.
The Dairy Queen Learning, in the past we sent questions to the Dairy Queen Learning Link.
DQLL.
Yeah, is that going to be gone? Or we just need to use this?
It's not gone, but I would recommend you use the Contact Us form. And actually, if you're on the Manage My Team page, this right here links you to the same form. So we've put it in multiple locations in case you have questions about either Manage My Team or the Dairy Queen Learning Link. It will take you to the same form so you could fill out all that information. So that's the support page. The Provide Feedback survey, it's an anonymous survey. It's just a way for us, if you want to tell us how you like the site or if there's something going wrong. The only thing I do warn people out, it is anonymous, so if you're looking to be contacted about a specific item, that's where you would use the Contact Us button. But if you just want to tell us how much you love the site, then go ahead and fill out the survey. So that is, most of those menu items is what a crew would see. Their browse training page will look a little bit different, but they do see all these menu items. You, because you're logged in as franchisee or trainer, you see this little caret next to the menu. Crew members don't see that. For you guys, this menu is actually clickable. When you click on it, it takes you to something we call the admin menu. So the admin menu is where you have access to some administrative functions. Now, in total, you had to, your administrative functions including having to go in and register people for courses. You don't have to do that in the Learning Link, in the eLogic version. Like I said, it walks them through it, so hopefully that'll save you time. But there might be times where you want to see, you want to just see information, you want to check up on somebody, you want to see what they're doing. So one of the things you could do is you could do this user, and you go to user management. So this is just a, and there's some instruction about here. If you have any questions, there is some user guides about how to use this search page and kind of what you need to put on here right on that front page. But basically what you're doing, I'm logged in as a test franchisee, so I have some test users. But this is where, kind of like Manage My Team at the top, where you're just trying to find a person. That's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to find a person. So you can do it by first name, last name, by username. For you guys, there's no way for me to remove this, but for you guys will never use this geography side. You will never use that. You will always use organization. The organization is really the franchisee side. The geography is really the corporate side. So for you guys, if you try to search in geography, you're not going to get any results, but you can search in organization. This would be a way, like if you wanted to try to search for a store. So because I'm a test franchisee, you only have access to this one store. But you might, your unit code, that would be your store ID. So if you're looking for users in a specific store, this is where you could come in and you could type in your 14077, and then you would click the search button, and then it would take you to here, and you could select it so that you could be searching for a specific store. So like Manage My Team, you have a different way of searching for different people. You could search by email address as well if that's available. You also have this ability to search by some of the attributes. And you'll notice a lot of these, they're exact same that are in the Manage My Team page. So job role. So if I just wanted to search for all crew member or all, you'll notice it's just the Manage My Team. So once again, because Manage My Team sends that information in the Dairy Queen Learning Link, if they're marked as a store manager in Manage My Team, they'll be marked as a store manager in the Dairy Queen Learning Link. So I could say, you know, I want to find all of my store managers for this store. So this is just a way to help find people. So I'm actually going to take this off because I just want to, I'll just show you. So I'm just going to look for anybody who's got a first name of Test. And let's search. So this is just going to return all of the users that meet that criteria. I have like 160, 174 test users. So if I don't like that, that's way too many people, and I want to try to scroll through that, this is where I could narrow my search down by putting better criteria in that front page, and then I get a smaller list of people. So this just tells me who that user is, just kind of gives me some quick hit information. If I click on their name, this is where I see all their information. Once again, this is all read-only. Because all that information is managed and Manage My Team, this is just telling us what it is, but you can't actually edit it. The thing I wanted to show you here, though, is if I click up here and I go to transcript, view transcript, this is where I'd be able to see. So I want to check out Chris Shanks' transcript. I want to know what she's done. I want to know where she's at. So I can go in here and search for Chris Shanks, and I can view her transcript, and I can see, oh, well, she's done that. She's completed that. I can see she's in the middle of the master course. She hasn't done, she started on a couple things, but she hasn't quite finished it. So I can see all the details of where she's at. So this is how I would manage and monitor some crew members or shift leads, or even if your manager is going through the certification process, you can log in to see if they've completed a knowledge exam, if they've completed a skills assessment, if they've completed any of the study materials. You can log in and really see what they've done on their transcript.
And the general managers can see their crew people on there?
Mm-hmm. As long as, this is where this comes into play, as long as if you give them access to this store, to any of these stores, and click this button right here, whoever you give them access to, that's going to be the one that shows up and is available whenever you search.
Okay.
So if I give a store manager access to only one store, when they try to search by that, they're only going to see all the users in that one store. So, but if I go to manage my team, oops, and give them access to these 3 stores, then they would be able to see all the users in those 3 stores.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so if that manager has access to the stores, the area manager will not have access to them to check it. Is that correct or no?
No, I'm sorry. You can have as many people as you want to have access to the store. So the area manager and the manager could all have access. Only one of them can be the approver. Only one can receive the notifications.
Okay.
But they can both build a report. So if you have a store manager and then you want the same area manager to have both of those plus others, absolutely. You can give as many people access as you want to.
Okay.
So that's the big thing. The other thing we have is reports. I'm going to tell you, I don't like the standard reports. We're actually in the process of kind of getting rid of them. The ad hoc reports I can create for you. So I've created a couple for you already. So I've created one called for login activity last 7 days. So, and we're going to go kind of try to go through and figure out how to make these ad hoc reports as much as you guys need them and as user-friendly as possible. But you can see, I just want to see who's logged into the Learning Link in the last 7 days. So I can see, once again, when I run this report, I'm only going to see the people who I've been assigned to on this screen, or the people in the stores I've only been assigned to on this screen. So I can see that you can see 7, 1, and 160. In fact, we just logged in as them today, so you can see where I've logged into them. I can actually even change this. Let's say I want to say the previous month, and I can update results. So we're in the process of building out these ad hoc reports. If you guys have any suggestions for them, I'm happy to hear them. I will say there are standard reports available, and if you want to play with them a little bit, you can. I wouldn't recommend getting too attached to them because they don't work. They don't work as well as we like, and actually we think the ad hoc reports run faster, and they're easier for us to kind of customize, and we just like them better. So, here's the learning course registration activity. So once again, I can see who's registered for what. So to your point, I'm a trainer, and I don't want to have to go in and view. I want to check on 10 different people. I want to see what's been done over the last week of who's doing what. I've gotten 50 emails, and I can't keep track of them. I could come in here and I could run a report to say, okay, tell me who's registered for all learning courses in the last 7 days, let's say in the last 30 days. And that way I can see everybody that I've been assigned to. I can see who's registered and who's registered for what. So I can see test user 7 is registered for the training materials. This is when they registered for this date. There's a lot of information in these that's really handy to have. So I recommend going through the ad hoc reports. And if there's something that you need, all you have to do is email me and I can get them added.
What about the managers certification, a food certification, a report.
Yep.
Is that already in there?
It's not yet, but I certainly added. Actually, I've added it to
where we could just run a report and see who's expired, see who doesn't have one.
yeah. I have actually. I'm going to log in as me, and I'll show you what I created. And this is I right now. I think I have it only available field box, but I certainly can add it to. I think I could certainly add it to everybody else, the franchisees. You'll notice I'm going to have a lot more options to you guys, only because I'm the system admin, but that's kind of why. So I created one called Pending Manager Certification Skills Assessments. Completed food safety certificates is what you're, oh, this is just for corporate employees. But this is basically what you're looking for, and I can certainly add that.
Yeah, so if they completed it, their name's on there, and then it shows.
Yep.
But it's got a completion date, but it doesn't show the expiration date.
I can add that. That's saved in there. Yeah, I'll get that added. My ultimate goal is to build like an ad hoc report dashboard, because you can categorize them by different things. So if it's like crew member, I could categorize them into crew versus management. I could I can add as many as I want in here, just so that they're easy to find for you guys. So our ultimate goal is to create some sort of report dashboard for you to see. We just haven't gotten that far yet.
Do you have anything there for crew level certifications? Because now in Texas, all of our crews are required to have a crew level certification.
What kind of crew?
It's got to be a food handlers. They all have to, all Texas has to have food handlers.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they would log that through the kind of the same thing that somebody would log as ServSafe. Let's check and make sure.
Because the crew level wouldn't have the option to log a manager certification, would they?
They do. As soon as they finish orientation, they have the option. Even though it's called a manager food safety certification, they absolutely have the option to upload it. So they would launch it. They would register for it and launch it, and then they could. I don't know, food. What's it called again?
Food handlers or employee food card, like there's, hang on.
Texas Department of Health right there.
Houston Department of
This
Health.
one?
No. One up above that. Food management, Texas food.
Retail.
So every time they would do that, the business consultant would get it?
Well, that's a great question. This is where it gets a little confusing. If they are a crew member or shift lead, their owner is whoever is marked in, which is their approver. Their owner and the approver I kind of use interchangeably. But their approver is whoever is marked in Manage My Team. If they're at the manager level, their approver is the BC.
Okay.
So yes, a crew could absolutely come in here and put this in, put all the information in, and complete it, and then that notification that it needs to see, you'll notice I'm logged in as the end user, right? So I'm going to put all my information in. When I submit it, you'll see that there's a little reviewer items that says somebody is going to get this notification that says, I have reviewed the certificate and confirm it is accurate. They're going to click that box, and then they're going to say, yep. So it basically needs a stamp of approval before it's submitted. The approver also then has the option of saying, like I said, no, this isn't right. Like your exam date was wrong, or your certificate numbers. I had to send one back. One of the corporate people filled it out, and they put in their certificate number wrong. So I just kind of sent it back to them and said, hey, the certificate number is wrong. Can you re-enter it?
Okay, so the next question is, in that drop-down box, that doesn't really describe, because it says food management, it doesn't say U.S. Texas, food safe, like an employee. Is that you're able to customize those fields to put something U.S. Texas, food handlers?
Yeah, I can. I certainly can. You can email that to me. I would. You might want to go through this list and just, because there is a ServSafe. We kind of put those at the top. I certainly can add something. The caveat to that is, and this doesn't really mean much to you guys because you guys are all at the bottom, I can't insert something in the middle. It will get added to the end, so it will be underneath whatever this is. So it will kind of just fall out of alphabetical order.
Yeah, and then the next question is, when the health department shows up, they'll say, let me see your food cards, providing them a list of just the names. Hey, they're certified, won't work. Is there a way to print the attachments they uploaded? Like, okay, let me open all of them from one store.
So when you go into, I don't think I have, I'm not going to have somebody who's done this. I don't think I have a test user who's done this. You'll find there's no way to do it like in a batch upload, right? But you could go through everybody's transcript, and then if one of these happens to be the skills assessment.
If it's something you could click on it and then open it and print it.
Yeah, it gives you this option to, like, there's an option to launch, or there's an option to view, and so you could view it and then open up the attachment that they've attached and then print it from there. So yes, you can absolutely see those.
And you can print the entire transcript?
You can print the whatever they've uploaded, and yes, you can print this transcript. You can print this transcript to export to Excel. You can also, if we create one of these reports for you that's got the list of everybody, so let's say this is a list of all the people who completed food safety, and it's got, you know, their names, when they completed it, their you know, any of the information inside it, so their expiration date, their certificate number. You could do whatever you want to. You could go up here and then export to an Excel from there. So at least you could have the list. It wouldn't have the exact copy of the certificate itself this way, but at least it gives you a list of everybody who's completed it for you.
Right, because what we do too is we reward people based on their courses completed. So when somebody gets a raise based off of that, we ask them to send in something showing they completed them. So like sending in the transcript, and you say you can just print that.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think that's really all. It's just, you know, just one of the things for you guys is just don't forget about this admin menu here that's kind of hidden. You just kind of have to click on that. Not everybody, not all your crew and shift lead won't have that, but you definitely do. And then remember to go to user management and search for your user, and then you can view their transcript there, or you can go to report and ad hoc reports, and we can add some ad hoc reports for you all. So those are kind of be the two big things what you want to do. The other thing that we're working on, and I don't know that you guys will have access to this, but we are working on creating there's a change. The Manage My Team page saves every change that's ever been made. So your BC or OC will have access to be able to run a report for that. So for instance, let's say you can't find somebody, or somebody's in the wrong store or wrong location, and you're just kind of curious of how that happened or why that happened. You can talk to your BC, and they can run a report for you here that will show you exactly when it was changed, who changed it, what it changed to. So there's a lot of information inside the Manage My Team report as well.
Okay.
That's really all I wanted to cover. Are there any other questions?
No, we're good on this end. Very good.
Okay. Well, I you know, just go in and play with it. I do recommend the support page has got a lot of information to it, or if you go to the browse training page and then the learning link icon, this is where all the videos, there's some quick reference guides. There's a lot of information about how to perform different actions in there. And then here in the next couple of days, my hope is to get the user guide, the Dairy Queen Learning Link user guide available as well. But there's a lot of information out there if you ever have questions about how the site works. It's also on the employee training page. You go to employees and then go to training. There's a lot of information here as well. It's kind of the same information, but If anybody's having problems logging into the learning link, it's actually on the hub page as well, so that they don't have to log into the learning link to see how to access it.
Awesome.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye.